Hello, this is Dan Farisi, Group Director of Content and Editorial, Industrial, and Tech at Emerald. So happy to be joined by Tim English, who is Managing Director, Acoem ATD Technology. Topic of conversation is, of course, our Trend-Setting Technologies list, which was just announced in the November-December issue of CI plus SSI. The ATD Gunshot Detection System was one of the very few that was able to make that illustrious list of trend-setting technologies. That's why we wanted to invite Tim on to talk a little bit about gunshot detection and how Acoem is doing things in a really revolutionary and unique way. Thank you so much, Tim, for joining me today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Dan. Happy to be here.
Again, thank you so much, Tim, for being here. And I want to get right into it. Let's talk about how edge-based single sensor gunshot detection technology opens up new high margin markets for integrators. That's what we're speaking to here today, the integration channel. And I want them to understand not just your technology, but also how it can make a difference for them in terms of high margin opportunity. Do you want to start with the whole idea of the single sensor revolution? Why is this different from legacy systems? Why is it better?
Sure. So typically, acoustic gunshot detection sensors require multiple sensors to be placed around an area so that they can triangulate a location in the middle. ATD is unique because we do this with a single sensor. So we have a microphone array inside of a single sensor, which can do the detection and the location on board. So we have an onboard processing unit, and we do those calculations at the edge. And we also do a validation determination to determine that it's a gunshot and not some other kind of noise. So by being able to use a single sensor to do that, you open up a whole new world of deployment possibilities where somebody like an integrator who is developing a security strategy for a customer can choose specific places to put a sensor. They can choose based on where they control data and power. They can choose based on what makes the most sense for the monitoring and security strategy. And they can add a sensor to a customer's existing project. They can add one, they can add three, they can add 10. It's not necessarily it's not a huge barrier for their customer to add this kind of protection anymore.
That's really, really important, not having those barriers to deployment and barriers to usage. I did want to talk about additional kind of market expansion capabilities that are built into this. And the idea is if you kind of don't need a fixed array, there might be temporary deployment opportunities as well, whether it's trailers, construction sites. You want to talk about that aspect of market expansion, temporary deployment if necessary?
Yeah, absolutely. And this has been a big sector for us this year. Because we can do the single sensor, we can deploy it on a mobile trailer, which is typically a single mast, and this is becoming very popular for for retail parking lots, for construction sites like you mentioned, or even for school districts that might want to have detection outside the stadium on game day, but it might be out in the main parking lot for graduation. So it gives you the opportunity to add this to that mobile unit. And add a whole nother level of security and a new sensor to what's already on that technology stack.
Exciting stuff. And I would imagine that also kind of opens up recurring revenue opportunities in those temporary event security spaces, that whole market, which potentially, I guess, could be untapped at this point, right? I mean, integrator dollars that have not yet been seized because they don't necessarily have a tool that enables them to reach into that market.
Yeah, I mean, that's correct. If somebody is, interested in having, for example, a trailer rental for a specific, a festival, right? That can be something that integrators maybe do provide already, but they're only able to offer cameras and maybe talk down speakers or some lighting on it. If now you have the opportunity to go in there with something very unique and have a gunshot detection system, so that you can protect these events in the case that a gun gets discharged in the crowd.
So I want to talk a little bit about Acoem's credibility, and that's something that is, completely unquestioned. You're a battle-proven company. So you want to talk a little bit about like your military acoustic background, your prowess, and how that can give people a lot of confidence working with Acoem?
Yeah, absolutely. Acoem is a leader in gunshot detection for military applications. We've been one of the original pioneers in this area, dating back to 1995. And that's where sort of the architecture that we just talked about, being able to deploy this with a single sensor, was very important for military customers where they're deploying sensors on vehicles or even on individual soldiers. And they're, very interested in protecting, certain perimeters of certain kinds of facilities. So, so this technology goes back 30 years, and that's important for the expertise in the hardware, but it's also really important for the way we've developed our AI validation. That model is built and trained on actual acoustic gunshot events that we've been collecting for decades, right? So, we have many tens of thousands of different shots fired from different aspects, distances, different calibers. All those things are annotated by hand, and all that information can really be used to help improve that model, so that we can reduce false alarms and also quickly adjust to the acoustics in any given environment.
You bring up reducing false alarms, and obviously that's really important because a whole lot of false alarms would just kind of erode credibility, I would think, with customers, and that is something that you don't want to have. So it seems like your system is kind of designed to drive those false positives, those false alarms, so to speak, towards zero, making sure credibility is unquestioned.
Absolutely. We try to, we reduce false alarms by, with the AI model that's delivered with the unit, but we also, have the ability to react to in a given environment. If we are coming across, acoustic signatures that haven't been trained into the model, that data goes directly into the cloud, and we're able to use it to issue a new model, which can be specific for one site, or it can be data that we use to improve the general version for all the sensors and all the sensors that are deployed and will be deployed in the future.
So I said at the outset that, of course, this is being targeted to the integrator channel, to the reseller channel, and it seems like that is a channel that Acoem is very focused on supporting. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Partner Success Program, your commitment to partner success, and what you do to support your partners?
Yeah, absolutely. We depend on integrators. We have great partners, and we're always looking to add good partners to expand our footprint. We don't typically install these sensors. We don't do any kind of monitoring services. So those are all opportunities for the integrator as well. We've developed this to be very, very well integrated with the things that integrators are already offering to their customers. So we are, it's a single PoE for power and data. If you can install a camera, you can install this sensor without any issue. And we use common protocols to integrate with, with any on-VIF Profile S capable camera. The sensor will detect that alert and instantly move that camera into the area, so you get not just the image, but it's centered in the frame. You get a very good situational awareness of what's happening, and then similarly, we can send these events into the all common VMS platforms, and customers can essentially use this sensor data in the same exact environment that they're already monitoring cameras and other kinds of sensors and alerts.
My last question for you, Tim, is focused on kind of the democratization of safety. People might at one point have thought gunshot detection is kind of a luxury, maybe for big city facilities or something like that. But now it really has become a necessity in a much more democratized way. Do you want to talk about that trend, that change?
Yeah, absolutely. And this kind of goes back to where we started with the single sensor deployment. I mean, if you have to cover a broad area, obviously the price of hardware and installation and everything increases with the complexity of that project. So, being able to offer a single gunshot detection sensor that covers a very large area outside. It's almost equivalent to about 10 football fields. It's 500-foot radius in any direction. So you can cover a broad area with a single sensor, and that makes this type of protection much more accessible to smaller towns, schools, retail, stadiums and events, and remote critical infrastructure where it might not even be feasible to be able to install all the sensors you would need out in the woods or some other area where power and data could be an issue. So ATD is made adding gunshot detection and this instant alert to a gunshot threat really accessible to anybody who's interested in securing facilities or responsible for security of some kind of event. So that's that's our aim, is to make the world a safer place. That's the way we approach this, and we want to help our integrators help their customers think about how they would respond in the event that there's a gunshot at their facility or at their event.
Absolutely. Make it accessible to everybody, as you say, and make the world a safer place. That's what it's all about. Thank you so much, Tim English. Really appreciate you joining me today. Fascinating conversation. And again, congratulations to Acoem for the ATD gunshot detection system being added to our trend-setting technologies list.
Thanks so much. Appreciate being here.
Pleasure to have been joined by Tim English, Managing Director, Acoem ATD Technology. My name is Dan Farisi. I am Group Director of Content and Editorial, Industrial and Tech at Emerald. Please do keep your eyes on securitysales.com in the days ahead as we continue to profile our trend-setting technologies winners. Again, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.